What's going on, guys? Donovan here. In today's video, I want to talk about my first track day with the 3400 stall Circle D converter in the Charger. So if you guys are new to the channel, I have a 2016 Charger RT. The car has pretty much too many things to list in terms of modifications, but the big ones are camshaft, 309 limited slip differential. It's got a 392 intake manifold, E85 dyno tune, and my most recent modification is the Circle D torque converter. Now the reason I threw that torque converter in is because I lost a lot of low end with the cam. If you guys are familiar with how cams affect your power band, basically they shift your power higher in the RPMs. Of course, there are different cams that do different things. Long story short, I lost a lot of low end and my launches were really suffering on the stock torque converter. So there's some good and bad news. The Charger RT ran great at the track. There are no issues with it. Car drives fantastic. The bad news is that according to my tuner ZH, the converter isn't stalling up as high as he would have expected. With that being said, I still want to show you guys a couple of runs from the drag strip that night, as well as talk about some of the times I got. Before we get there, I also want to say that these times were done in a full weight configuration. I even had a full tank of gas. There was no weight reduction whatsoever. The only thing I had on the car were a couple of drag slicks and some 17-inch race star wheels at the back. The DA was like positive, I think a couple hundred feet. Unfortunately, the humidity was really bad. It was above 50%. Also, I'd like to mention that at that point had not even been tuned for the converter. I was just data logging for my tuner because he needs to change some things in the background that I can't really explain to you what they mean. But at that point in time, when I did these runs, the car was not tuned for the converter yet. So it was still my regular trans tune. Prior to the last track day, the best times I had ran were in the mid 8.4 second ranges in the 8th mile. More consistently, it was kind of in the 8.5 range with really bad 60 foot, sometimes 2.1, sometimes even 2.2 seconds. So I'm gonna stop talking and I'm gonna show you guys the first run of the night. So the first run of the night, and I ran an 8.346 at 86.5 miles an hour. So right off the bat, that is the best time I've ever run in the 8th mile. I never ran the car when it was bone stock / just bolt-on setup, but since I've gone to the track, 8.34 was my best time at that point. And this was right when the track opened. The prep was really bad. I actually remember spinning on this run. I'm sure you were able to hear from that video I showed you. And still, I scored a 198 60 foot. So I immediately hot lapped the car. I got back in line since I was so excited to run again and I wanted to do an actual burnout.
The new Charger is supposed to be
Now that run, even with a hot lap, I got a slightly lower mile an hour, but I ran an 8.310 in the 8th mile with a 1.93 60 foot. Even though I hot lapped the car, I got an even faster time that time around. So at this point, I was pretty excited. My times were only getting faster. Even with all that was said and done, running the car full weight, full tank of gas, converter with no tune, that was still the best time I've ever run. My third and final run of the night was, funny enough, my slowest run. That one was at 85 miles an hour and I ran in 8.4. But oddly enough, my 60 foot on that time was still pretty good at a 1.94. So not really sure what was going on there. With that being said, the car was running pretty consistent. And so this car, the Charger is always ran really consistent. So despite the fact that it's not the fastest thing in the world, I can always count on it to run really similar times with a similar setup. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do about the converter because, as I mentioned before, the tuner says that it's not flashing up as high as he'd expect. I spoke to the guy who I bought it from. He's, not really sure what's going on. I may have just kind of gotten unlucky. Kind of is what it is when you're buying used parts off of Facebook, which kind of sucks. At the end of the day, even with the converter not flashing as high as it is, I'm still running the fastest times that I've ever ran in the car. And with the tune and a couple more supporting mods which are coming along here soon, and plus a little bit of weight reduction, maybe take out the front seat, run a lower fuel level, maybe a quarter to a half tank, I really think that I could possibly get the car in the 8.1s and in good weather, maybe flat 8s. I don't know if 7.9s is a little too ambitious. Maybe a 7.99 would be possible if all the stars aligned. With that being said, we're seeing some improvement. So I'm not sure where I'm gonna go next. Thinking about doing some things like a diff brace and maybe a stiffer drive shaft. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for kind of following along on this journey with the Charger. I'm not super confident on what the next steps are. I'd like to take it back out to the track now that it's got a couple of tune revisions, trans and engine tune revision, and see how it does. Maybe I can get 8.2, maybe a high 8.1 next time I go. That being said, thank you guys so much for continuing to support the channel. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please remember to click that like button, and if you aren't subscribed, remember to subscribe to the channel if you want to follow along with the Charger, and soon the Hellcat, which I will also be taking to the drag strip. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.